Namaskar. Hello and welcome to PGurus channel. I'm your host Sri Iyer, and today Sumit PG is joining me. We're going to talk about a couple of things. First off, we'll be talking about the developments in Niger and the subsequent actions that are taking place across the world. What are the big four up to? And also we're going to cover a little bit on what is happening in Mewat and why now they are finding a new angle to the whole thing, how illegals are being weaponized. We will talk about that also. Let's first welcome Sumit PG. Sumit ji, namaskar and welcome to PGurus channel.
Hey, namaskar, pranam, vanakkam, sadhuvat. Thank you for the invitation. Always a pleasure. And my pranam to all the viewers.
And viewers, a small request to like this video, and also if you have not subscribed to our channel, please do subscribe to our channel. For the first time on our channel, we're going to discuss Niger, this country in Africa, which used to be a French colony. What triggered the current crisis and who is taking whose side, and also what is happening overall. Is this crisis localized to one country or is it going to spread to the rest of Africa? To understand all these things, let us listen to Sumit PG. Sumit ji, namaskar. Please go ahead, sir, and tell us what is happening. You're muted.
I'm not. Can you hear me?
Yes.
In the name of Lord Sri Ganesha, let's do the Sri Ganesha of this broadcast. Now, the most important thing about our series, the Tango of Four, we should be talking about Niger and how four are interlinked and intermingling and how the relations and how the sands are shifting. After that, we'll be spending the last part of the program around 5 to 10 minutes on what are the developments on Mewat. We'll briefly bring our viewers and brothers and sisters up to date. What has government done in Mewat and what is the action which has followed. And there'll be some fireworks there for sure. Now, if we look at our new initiative, that is the Tango 4, in this initiative, we are trying to break it down into very simple terms, very simple and singular terms, what is happening and what is going to impact what and how. We are not doing news reporting. What is Niger? Who did what happened on 18 July? What happened on 20th July? What happened on 20? No. That's all Google stuff. We are going to talk about what happened and how does it change the paradigms. Now, in Niger, there was a revolt. We all know that. It keeps on happening in those countries. It's nothing new. But how is that going to change the geopolitics of the world and how the global politics is going to change? And I'm also going to bust a myth today, which I will do in due course of time, which when we reach that stage. Now, last our discussion on the subject, I had told you, in my opinion, Modi ji will most likely not go to the BRICS summit. You all will remember that. Now we know Modi ji is going to the BRICS summit. So what changed from last week to this week? What changed and how did this decision change? And how are the four interlinked and what is happening in this beautiful love-hate relationship? I call it the love-hate relationship which the four have. Now, all of you must be having one question in mind. Why did Prime Minister Modi decide to go? What changed? Now, if you look at Africa, you must have heard about this country called Niger. It's next to Nigeria, Niger. It's a small country. And what happened in that? I'm not going to talk in this hangout about what happened, who did what. That's news reporting. We are not news reporting. We don't report news. We are going to analyze the things and see the impact. What happened in Niger is that, the presidential bodyguard or the head of the presidential bodyguard, he did a revolt. The ongoing president has been kind of jailed. He has been put aside and he has announced that I am the leader of the country and I control the shots. This is a small story happening in somewhere in Africa, right? And how is it going to impact your and my lives? How are we concerned? Because the usual question that will come to your mind, Are Baba, mera kya? Why are you telling me this? Why was my life going to be impacted? Why should I bother about what is happening in Africa? This is a common notion. And if you have that notion, it's perfectly all right. And that is where we come in to explain and break the things in a very systematic and logical manner. So when this sequence of events was happening, there were players in the scene behind the scenes. So what is Niger? Why is it important? First of all, you have to understand, Niger is surrounded by three countries which are all run by dictators. Burkina Faso and others. They're all run by dictators. That's the point number one. Niger is 99.5% Muslim country. Niger has the highest fertility rate in the world, I think 6.6. So every woman produces around 6.6 children in a lifetime, which is highest. I think second after that is Afghanistan, which I've told you in a lot of hangouts earlier. Now, what is happening in Niger? How does this coup impact us and why did this coup happen? Now, usually you will think that, okay, somebody got ambitious, he wanted to become the king, he put the older king in the jail and he said, look, I'm the king, I control the military and control the army. Now, when this coup happened, though Niger has an army also, which is sizable, the army of Niger also expressed support to this guy. They said, we don't want bloodbath on the roads, so we are supporting this guy, which is the facade of a statement. But what is the reality? We'll go in due course of time. Now, why is Niger so important? It has a young youth population. It is surrounded by dictators. It is 99.5 or 99.8% Muslim. ISIS, Boko Haram, ISIS-K, Al-Qaeda, they all live and thrive in this country, by the way. And America thinks of them as their biggest partners in the fight against terrorism. When all the kinds and types of terrorists, all the flavors of Islamic terror in the land, right? Now, did that lead to a coup? Were Americans ambitious? No. There are three things which led to the coup. First, it has the best quality and the highest uranium reserves in the world. World needs uranium. Gold, it has gold and others, and it has oil and gas also. So they're all the three things in one country. Uranium, best quality, gold, and oil and gas. So when you have all the three things, anybody can get ambitious. Anybody can have influence. So ambition goes with the influence. Ambition does not go without influence. They are synonyms, ambition and influence. That is what we have to understand so far. Now, where does Big Four come into the picture? Now, where the question is. Now, you know what is the reasons. Now, you must have seen that Putin, what we discussed last time, told them, look, I'm waiving off your $28 billion and I'm going to give you a $900 million to $1 billion credit line to all the these 14 African countries who should come to meet him. Now, then Putin went to the next step. Putin said, not only that, guys, anybody in Africa needs wheat. I am going to give him wheat free of cost. And I will even transport it to your country free of cost. Now you will see how has Putin become the yogi or the jogi? How has he become a saint? What changed Putin? It's not neither Putin is a saint, neither Africans are naive. It is what you control. Who is the odd man out? The odd man out in the whole game is France. Why? Because the 70% of the uranium which enters France comes from Niger. 70%. 40% of the European supplies are coming from this country only. And the country which is highest dependence on nuclear power, around 30%, 28 to 30%, is France. So France, now what is France? France projected itself in the Russian-Ukraine or the Russian-American conflict via Ukraine as a wartime economy. And if you know, France was the only economy which was doing okay somewhat in the Europe. All others were shaking. France was doing somewhat okay. And people have this myth that France has a good demographic dividend. I told you, out of every 3 kids going to the school, 2 are Mohammeds. So it's not exactly as rosy as you might think it to be. So with this happening, what is the biggest crisis in Europe? Islamization and energy. France, a bit out, demographically a bit stable overall, and energy-wise, okay. And, but Islamization has even hit the France. Now, Germany is crippling because of energy, UK is crippling because of energy, and forget the other smaller countries, they don't even count. Now, with this move, suddenly the France's energy needs are put on a question mark. Challenge becomes a challenge. Europe's energy needs are put on a question mark. Europe used to run on Russian gas. Russian gas doesn't come to Europe now, always very few quantities. What are the options to Europe? Either you have to go and buy Russian gas or you have to get the energy from America, which comes to at 4 to 5 times the price. So cutting off Niger from the scheme of things helps a lot of people. And how does the tango start? You see, France, I told you, France gets around $500 billion from its former colonies due to some laws and regulations and a lot of things France manages for them. And even to tell you, France has more than 2,000 soldiers approximately, which are still placed in Niger. Now, France is a group with its former colonies who have threatened Niger that you kind of come back to what the status quo was, otherwise we will attack. So France is rattled because France does not know what to do, because France depends $500 billion a year on the money which it gets from these countries. And let me tell you also, I forgot to tell you, Niger also has a lot of gold, lot of gold. And I told you the gold which France, and कभी कहते हैं ना जबान पे सरस्वती बैठती है. I told you the gold which France is getting does not come from France, it comes from Mali. So these are the colonies where France is getting all these things pretty cheap and selling them and making money and making its economy run. When all these things shake, the economy of the France shakes, the welfare schemes of the France shake, the map of the French economy overall starts shaking, and the dominance of the France is shaking. If you look at I2U2, we have already replaced France and United Kingdom in Middle East. That you know. In America was a power, will be a power in Middle East. India has taken the center stage in Middle East. A lot of people are talking about it. Now you must be seeing for last 1.5 months back, Dr. Jaishankar was doing a lot of work in Africa. And I can't blame myself when I look at some channels. They were, and when I look at some so-called analysts, they were talking that Dr. Jaishankar is trying to set the things right for Macron in France. I said, come on, guys, give me a break. You must be living in Alice in Wonderland or reading too much of Alif Lal. Do you think the foreign minister of India, of the stature of Dr. Jaishankar, the right-hand man of Prime Minister Modi, will work to settle Macron's issues in France and help France become bigger and better? And India, and he's an Indian diplomat, he's a patriot, and India pays his salary and he's working for Macron. I mean, all kinds of stories and illusions and delusions are floated nowadays, and some fly-by-night analysts also crop up, but that's okay. So now I'll explain you what happened there. We could sense something like happening, and people think that our raw IB and all, they are not doing nothing. I've been always telling you, people are doing the work. We have already done a lot of groundwork in France. I will relate now the dots. Now, when this all things are happening, suddenly the current regime, which is in power, that is the presidential guard head who has taken up, who has declared himself as the new president, he suddenly gets support from Putin. Before that, Putin tells to whole of Africa, wheat is free, I'll transport it to your doorstep. $28 billion free, $1 billion credit line. Looks like a plan, right? Putin is interested in Africa. If Putin is interested in Africa, whose influence is going down in Africa? China's influence. Now, when this whole thing is happening, this Wagner group head suddenly crops up in this country, magic. And he says, if there is a war, Wagner group will help the current regime. Now, there have been theories being floated, which we on PGurus. I said, you must be kidding me. When they said, Wagner has done a mutiny against Putin, and this Putin is going to come down. The 50,000 soldiers of Wagner group are going to take 2 million down Russian army and all that. I said, come on, it doesn't happen in Russia. If it was the case, the Wagner head would have been disappeared by now. A Wagner head is pretty much there and is trying to do the betting for Putin. And some of the Russian army and diplomats are missing, which I had predicted. If Ad goes missing, he has done something. If some Russians goes missing, he has done something. Wagner was a red rat which Putin used to, get out what is happening and where. Who are the people who are not with me really, from heart and mind. So they have been identified and taken care of. The Russian way. I don't need to tell you how. Now, this guy suddenly crops up. Says, I am with the president and I'm going to do one more one. So Russia is cementing its influence in Africa. Now, what is happening parallelly? Now, there's a BRICS summit. Up to 8 days back, possibility was Modi ji will not attend because Putin said no. Now, what is happening in South Africa? It's important to know. The two principal parties of South Africa are saying that the current South African president is so weak, he could not guarantee that the Putin will not be arrested because there's an ICJ warrant against Putin's arrest in South Africa. That is why Putin is not coming, right? They're saying, Putin, we are with you. And all other dictators and a lot of people in Africa are saying, Putin, we are with you. Because after this 28 billion waiver, credit line and free wheat, what Putin promised. Now, instantly, this changed the paradigm. Now, China wanted to go to BRICS, have an entry of its friendly states, and also push for a BRICS currency. Now, BRICS currency is history because there's a historical pushback. It is not on the agenda now. In the future, it might crop up. Looking at the geopolitical situations, how they are. Now, what is happening here? Now, the second thing what is happening here is when this all is happening in the background, one important development happened. Now, I had predicted or I have thought that Modi ji will not go there. But now, with when the whole of Africa is divided, some are with France, the erstwhile colonies, some are with Putin, some are with South Africa, and some are with the current dispensation. So there's a kind of a mixed bag, and Africa is trying to stabilize. Only country which has a door-to-door, man-to-man influence in African lives, that is India. India has the highest influence at a common man level in Africa. And we've invested almost same money as Chinese have in Africa. And we talked last time about how much we have taken lands on lease and all. So you wanted.
सुमित जी, मेरे को ओसादुद्दीन ओवैसी से एक कॉल आया. वो बोल रहे हैं सुमित भाई को थोड़ा हल्लू हल्लू बोलने बोलो, बहुत जल्दी बात कर रहे हैं अंग्रेजी.
धीरे बोलो, हैदराबादी स्टाइल में बोलूंगा. Now, when this all is happening, what has happened? Now, if Modi ji does, Putin is not going, Joe Biden doesn't come. Now, if Modi ji doesn't go to the summit, China will dominate the agenda because China will look this as an opportunity. Africa is a divided house. There are groups. China will see this as an opportunity to get back into Africa by promising them something or, showing them the green pastures on the other side, right? That is what China does. So not to let China dominate the meeting, not to let China dominate the agenda, not to let China enter into Africa again, Modi ji finally after this coup, 2 days back confirmed that Modi ji is going to attend the BRICS summit in person. 7 days back, there was a talk Modi ji will not go. After 5 days, in between the coup happened, after these developments, Modi ji said, I will go. Now, what are our good friends Americans doing? America is in a catch-22 situation, to interest. America has to be seen with France because France has, literally been their buddy for years. So Americans are saying, okay, we are with France and we are going to impose sanctions on Niger and we'll stop all the trade with them. But Americans are also worried. Where will the uranium come? Today, let me tell you, a lot of American uranium comes from Russia. A lot of people will know that it comes from Russia. Russia thoda rula ke deta hai, but Russia gives uranium. Now, if Niger is blocked, so you might have uranium in Australia, Kazakhstan, and even Canada, but the refining capabilities of uranium are not of that stature. So Russians also know that there is a problem here. Americans also know there's a problem here. Now, Americans are not coming direct. Americans are not coming. They're saying, okay, France will support you. We'll do some sanctions, and how will we play the game? Now, another aspect here. When you look at Africa, where is the interest of the deep state? The interest of the deep state is Africa. Why Africa? 60% of the land, only 10% of the output. Biggest mineral worth maybe, 100 trillion. I don't know what number to put there. Where is it in the world? Africa. So Democrats and deep state are synonymous. So here, American deep state, through Democrats, also wants a pie from Africa. So to have their pie for Africa, they want a henchman, that is France, to go and do the dirty job. If they want to fight and all, they will give weapons and all. Go and do the dirty job. Make sure our interests as Americans, as Democrats, which is basically the part of the deep state, are protected. So deep state has interest in Africa. Democrats have interest in Africa. And French have interest in Africa. Europe has interest in Africa. And, France, especially talking about 63% of the total mining in this country is controlled by French. This will be another news to you. 63% of the total mining. You can imagine the amount of money French are minting from this Niger. Now, China is suddenly seeing an opportunity that if Modi ji doesn't come in, I'll go and do my job. So Modi ji gets the stage. Now, who is Prime Minister Modi? Leader of the Global South. How many countries are in Global South? 120. About 50% of the countries come from Africa. So when Prime Minister Modi and Putin are talking the same thing, that even in G20, African Union should be included as a member state, as you're done with the European Union, right? So African Union should be done. Do you see Modi ji and Putin here are talking the same thing? Now, what is Prime Minister Modi going to do? Prime Minister Modi is going to go there. He's going to protect the Indian interests so that China doesn't dominate. He's going to protect the interest of Russians and not hit the interest of Americans. That is the balance that the India is
Tango. It's called Tango.
Tango. That is the balance Modi ji is going to play. That is why 7 days back there was a talk we will not go. After 5 days, suddenly he has gone. This is what has changed in the main meet because he does not want China to dominate, China to take the leadership, and China to promise to Africa, look, I'm your neta, bhai, I'll do for you. So the African representation, African stature, African trust is with Prime Minister Modi, and he's the only person out of the four who is still seen neutral and who's still seen objective oriented, which talks about what I talked last time. How India's diplomacy is aligning to partners as per subject. It's not a blanket alignment, what some people would want you become a patta, lackey, sidekick. No. So you align as per the need. Now, what my sources are also telling me, now China is going to go there. He's going to get a hell lot of countries there, including Saudi Arabia and UAE. Now, China plays this game. Saudis, you can say no, but you can't say no to UAE because UAE is your third biggest trading partner. Now you will tell me what is up Modi ji's sleeve? Yahan kya rakhe gaye Modi ji? What is this going to up? Modi ji will say, look, buddy, currency is not happening now, so currency is out of the table. Regarding the membership, you have proposed some names. Okay, we can take 3-4 countries which you have proposed, but in the return, in the spirit of friendship, in the spirit of cooperation, in the spirit of making a world a better place to live in, what I want you to do, Mr. China, you have to support my candidature for UNSC permanent seat with veto, and you have to also support my candidature for NSG, Nuclear Suppliers Group. That is for the interest of the people of India. You give me these two things, I'll give you these two things. So your people come in, and here I get two things. Your 3-4 people come in. It's a trade-off. I help you, you help me. And here, Americans are waiting and watching how do the things turn up. You see, so should they bet on? I can predict you one thing. Americans will wait and watch. Should they bet on Macron or should they bet on Prime Minister Modi? Who is able to get maximum extraction out of them? And what is Modi ji trying to do here? You're missing the point. Modi ji is trying to set the new world order. Now, him going there, representing Africa, representing the global south, is a different situation. Who is the odd man out? Here, America is trying to protect its interests, right? France is really whacked. Because if happens with this country, others can follow suit. And there's a whole of uprising in Africa, and we don't want these colonizers to siphon money out of Africa. Not only that, if you watch Europe carefully, there are a lot of processions and all which are happening in Europe where they are saying, kindly get out of NATO. There are processions in Poland, there are processions in UK, there are processions in Germany. Bhaiya, NATO se niklo, we don't want NATO. So with this thing, there are cracks which have come up in NATO. You will agree to me. And I will tell you another thing. When the Russian-Ukrainian war started, Sri sir, two important things happened. Rupiah slowly became an international currency, almost 28 countries. UPI reached 38 countries. In this time only, Russian-Ukrainian war, not before that. There's a window of opportunity which we looked and we encashed. We increased our foothold in Africa. We cozied our relations with Americans. We also cozied our relation with Russians. But also we are trying to strike a bargain with Chinese. Look, if you want this is what we need in the return, because that is in our national interest. So China will be again in a catch-22 situation, will not let him dominate the stage. If there was no Niger coup in the meanwhile, my assessment says Prime Minister Modi would have not gone. Because that is why PMO was very reluctant to say, even 5 days back, will he go or will he not go? That is not how Prime Minister Modi works. They really, his plans are quite pre-decided. He will even have a schedule for next year or 2 years down the line. So why suddenly there was a last-minute dilemma? This is why there was a last-minute. This is how the Tango was shaping up. Now, if you look at the Russian-Ukrainian war, somehow China, India, and Russia are almost on the same page. Americans have taken a different holding. Now, what was the idea of Putin of this war? What did Putin get out of this war? Putin had two ideas: debt and inflation. Debt, inflation, and energy crisis. 3 ideas. So America is highly indebted, $34.7 trillion. European Union is in debt. I think the highest per capita debt is in Germany now, in the whole of Europe. You'll be surprised to know this is in Germany. Now, highly indebted, Europe is seeing the worst ever inflation. America has seen the worst ever inflation. Inflation and debt, both ideas of Putin have somehow fructified into action. Europe is the eventual casualty of this war because Europe has everything to lose and nothing to gain. As I had predicted that UK, then will be Germany, then it will be France. France was somehow trying to be normal. So France is hit on two sides. One is Islamization, and second is this money which France economy is not going to get. So this wartime economy, this, we will be the protectors of Europe. This is shaking. This is also shaking Macron. Now, incidentally, Dr. Jaishankar was there 1.5 months back. He was not trying to do batting for Macron. Sorry. Anybody who has this illusions and delusions needs to see a doctor. He was doing this to basically build and protect the interests of India, as we had reports, as we had inclination, and we had census on the ground which was suggesting us this. Did America have census? Yes, they had. Did America choose to act? No. Because they want to vote which is a heavyweight. So will Macron will be the heavyweight, or will Prime Minister Modi will be the heavyweight? Whoever is the heavyweight, Americans will bet their money on that. That's a very known American thing, where to bet money and how to bet money. So NATO has cracks, inflation and debt has hit Europe. Energy crisis has become a prevalent. So for energy, what are your two options? You have to again go back to Russians, or you have to go back to America's Mr. Europe. Make your call. American energy is 5 times more expensive and not reliable. And for uranium, by the time Kazakhs and there's some uranium in Mongolia, there's in Canada and Australia, by the time they take up that drilling and they increase the production and they have this refining and all comes up, there's a possibility of a meltdown. A lot of meltdowns can happen between. Now look at India's position. India is playing neutral. We did not comment on the coup. हमें तो पता ही नहीं. We don't know. We did not comment on the coup. And I was looking at Prime Minister Modi's itinerary. What cements my theory? Prime Minister Modi is going to meet the opposition leaders of South Africa. Now, this is the same opposition leaders who says we are with Putin. These are the same African opposition leaders who says whole of Africa is our brother. These are the same opposition leaders who said that current Prime President could not protect Putin, will not be arrested. That is why our friend and mentor Putin is not coming here. These are the same opposition who says we are highly indebted to Putin for the waiver and the wheat which he has promised us. Now, what is India helping Africans to do to become self-sufficient? We talked on the last hangout how India is changing the Africa by the virtue of agriculture. What happened 2017 in Gujarat and how did it fructify in 2023? I explained you that, so we don't have to go to that. So this is how the tango is again playing. Now, there are two things which India could get from them. Look, I don't have anybody in PMO, so don't quote me. I don't know anybody. I'm just my analysis. So I don't want people to have, thinking something else. Look, we can with Russians, if the current dispensation stays, we can negotiate very, very lucrative deals for our gold supplies from Niger. We can negotiate very, very lucrative uranium deal from Niger, oil and gas from Niger. And let me remind you, you must have all known, when you talk of Middle East, you talk of Africa, you talk of a lot of countries, India is buying, blocks, oil blocks, coal blocks, petroleum blocks, mineral blocks. So India might also, knowing Prime Minister Modi and his vision, he might also be aiming at Dr. Jaishankar to have these African nations use their influence, and we might get some very, very lucrative deals and buy blocks there, which can be for iron, which can be for gold, which can be for uranium, which can be for oil and gas, or some other things. What does that mean? Now, next time, when you have to buy 2 lakh kilos of gold, you're not buying from United Arab Emirates only in rupees. You might be able to buy directly from Niger in rupees. Imagine. So how will it help you? Your prices might go 1/3 and in rupee. Sir.
Sumitji, my understanding is almost all gold mined in Africa finds its way to India and China through Dubai. So essentially, what this means is we are trying to cut the middleman out.
क्या करें? हमें भी तो खाना है ना. We have 1.4 billion people to feed. Our national interest is supreme. क्या करें? हमें भी तो थोड़ा दाल रोटी चाहिए ना. कैसे देंगे? So that's why I was telling. It's not this time we only. I was very happy when I came to know we are paying UAE in rupees possibly. Now I am taking the story to next level. we might be able to pay the supplier directly, cut the price by 1/3 because 30-40% margins are there.
Oh yeah,
By 1/3,
the दाएं हाथ का खेल है, बाएं हाथ नहीं जानता. What the left hand, right hand doesn't know. The person here is UAE.
correct. So we might be able to get directly, or we might play a bigger game. We might. I don't know anybody in PMO. Huh? No, don't quote me. I have no friends at all. So we might say, look, we will get these blocks. We buy the block, the rights of the block, even in dollars or in rupees, whatever they want. Even we will be ready to pay in dollars. If we buy the blocks, then our procurement price will go down by 50% or more, maybe 60%. Imagine the amount of foreign exchange we'll be saving. And if Modi ji is able to strike the deal in rupees, I mean, it is Har Har Mahadev. Then what do I say? Then it is a jackpot. It's a jackpot. That is why India is. Wagner is doing his job. Putin is doing his job. Putin is doing Modi ji's line. China is rattled. China thought they will dominate. No, Modi ji is coming. Xi Jinping, you're not going to dominate. Americans are waiting and watching game. They can't go against it. Deep state wants them to be in Africa, but they will see which horse to bet on. Is Macron still going to deliver for them or not? And wait and mind my note my one thing. I can tell you one thing. If Macron is not able to pull this for Americans, you will suddenly see Americans will not like Macron so much all of a sudden. They say, he's a good guy, but he's not there. He's a guy that you can do a lot of business with. He's okay. He's a good buddy. You can play golf, but not a lot of business with. So you will suddenly see the American slang and tones vis-a-vis French will change. So how is France going to run its 28% electricity and nuclear energy? Questionable. Russian gas, Henny. America says it's 5 times expensive. So our friend Macron, he's a good friend of India, but he's in a lot of trouble. And that is how the Tango 4 is shaping. Macron went to China. He should have not gone to China. I told him, don't go to China. China mat jao. He should have listened to me. Nobody listens to me in time when I say don't go to China. I keep on warning people, but kya kare? They don't listen to me. So he went to China. See what happened to him. Baba, don't go to China. I'm appealing to all the European leaders. Don't go to China. China is not a force to reckon with. Tomorrow at 10 o'clock, we'll dissect more sectors of China and we'll take more, those chithade out of Chinese economy. And then I'll have a lot of advice and warning for you guys how to deal with China. But now this is how the world order is shaping up. So my friends, if you are in diamond, gold, metals, bullion and all those things, there are a lot of things shaping up, buddies. There are a lot of things which are happening in the world. You must have your eyes and ears open. Don't get run by optical illusions. And we at PGurus tell you one thing, we the things in advance. We are your advisors in advance. Well in advance, we tell you what is going to happen. And we don't tell you the news. Who is the president? What is his name? What is the name of his santri? What is the name of his mantri? We don't tell you that. That you can find from Google. You all know how to find from Google. We're telling you how the Tango is shaping and what could happen. How could it impact your and my lives? And what is the proof of pudding, brothers? Look at the gold prices in the international market. Already up. Gold prices, Sir, in the international marketing are already up. So something is happening some more, right? So this is where we are going to start, and that is how India is protecting and safeguarding its interests. And let me tell you, bhaiya, Dr. Jaishankar was not in Africa to settle things for Macron. Who on earth gave you that hypothesis? I mean, you need to go back to the elementary school and learn ABC. I mean, Indian foreign minister was running some kind of a program for Macron in Africa. Come on, he was running Indian interest. He's a master of this tale. He's a magician with this. He knows this thing 1,000 times in and out better than me, what I can even think. So him and Prime Minister Modi think they are trying to run some business for Macron and helping their friend. No. These people again need to go to elementary school. You learn. But anyway, so here, this is what is. If the gold prices are going up, my theory is absolutely right. My hypothesis is right. Because the logic of all this is gold prices will go up. And very soon you will see uranium shortages in the world. The people who are going to be happy are Mongols, Kazakhs, Australians, and Canadians for this temporary. But whoever gets hold of the Niger and the resources, and I hope and pray we as India get a few big blocks at a throwaway price and in rupees. I will celebrate that day. We'll all share an online laddu with all of you. So let that day come. And that is how the tango of four is shaping. This is how, again, these love-hate relations are shaped. Again, Mamaji Shi is wondering what to do, what not to do. Foreign investor missing, economy shambles, mistress gone, foo arrested, ye bhi ho gaya, wo bhi ho gaya. My dreams of Africa are shattered. And these Indians have also checkmated me one more time. Arey Baba, you don't have a stable foreign minister, na? First get a foreign minister whom you can trust. You don't have anybody whom you can trust. Bad luck, Shi. Wolf warrior diplomacy doesn't work with us. We are disciples of Chanakya. We have taught world what is Chanakya Niti, what is Arthashastra, what is diplomacy. You need to come, take a class from us. Shinzu is as outdated as your un-Chinese mentality. So, Mr. Shi, you should have some coffee and maybe whatever you have, and then wake up to the reality of the world. We are ahead of the game. You like it or not, we are ahead of the game. Well, better luck next time. Try harder, learn harder. Now, with this, we are almost ending here. Before we go to questions, we want to talk briefly.
We have the Mewat also to look at.
Yeah, Mewat. Yeah, Mewat. Correct. Want to talk about the Mewat. Sachinji, can we have the videos?
Before we go to the videos, just 1 second. Viewers, the long and short of it, what Sumitji is explaining here is the demand for gold is the highest in two countries, India and China. China for its own reasons, India because India has been a consumer of gold. But where is the price of gold being set? Chicago, Mercantile Exchange, London, and the delivery is happening through UAE, which is taking its own cut. So what you are seeing here is perhaps another reset of a sort. I have asked this question 3 years, 4 years ago, Sumitji, when I was starting out PGurus channel. I said, if India is consuming 1/3 of all the gold produced in the world, then why isn't India setting the price? A buyer is the one who sets the price. So that is the question I think that's being answered now. So hang on to your seatbelts. Many of you have still not liked this video. Guys, who else has given you this kind of analysis? I'd like to know. Where we are kind of predicting what is coming down the pipeline. It's like that, big road that is curving like this. We are at the other side. You are still driving up to that curve. We're telling you what's on the other side. So please like our videos and also subscribe to our channel. And now let's go to the Mewat incident. Let's take a quick look at what is happening there, what kind of bulldozer actions are going on, who is at fault, what is really going on there. Go ahead, please.
बहुत ज्यादा गाड़ी फूक दी भाई मुसलमानों ने बहुत ज्यादा गाड़ी फूक दी भाई बहुत ज्यादा भाई कम से कम 50 गाड़ी फूक दी ये अपने लिल्लू के भाई लिल्लू सोनी जी की वैगनार है अपने एम्बुलेंस कहाँ है वो अपने एम्बुलेंस पर भाई अरुरा ने सारी गाड़ी भाई आगे कम से कम 100 गाड़ी होगी भाई अंदाजा
Over to you, Sumit ji.
Friends, what you have seen, I promise you that the government will be in action. Bulldozer chalega, bulldozer chal gaya. Now, there are more than these 200 shanties and 5 houses which have been demolished. Most of these houses have been occupied by these illegal immigrants. What we in PGurus told you around a week or 10 days, around a week back, I remember that there are cadres of PFI, there will be LET and ISIS and all these elements. They were hiding there. And one of the reasons of doing this all was to give them an exit route. Now, if you look at the reports which are coming in from police and other sources, they have started talking about it. There is a good possibility that these all people have been hiding here. So this Jamtara angle, where it had become a epicenter of cybercrime, the money was used to feed and keep the ecosystem running. Now these criminals and these dirty terrorists which were hiding there, and this all is now coming. And then the illegal Rohingyas, the illegal immigrants were hiding there. So illegals are taken care of. And even if you look at the Nalahar Shiv Mandir, now ITBP is deployed there. If Sachinji will have the photo, we'll request him to show that. ITBP is taken there. So Haryana police has done a fantastic job. And the DCP, there's a lady, I can't remember her name, she risked her life and tried to save our mothers and sisters. Otherwise, anything could have gone wrong. Now, we have seen the video account, what we told on PGurus. They have burned a few hundred cars. You've seen those locals of Haryana in the Haryanvi dialect talking about those cars which have been burned. Why were you burning the cars? You wanted to kill people? You wanted to rape the woman? That is what the idea looked to be. Now, this could not have been done without organization. This could have not done without, complete project management and a Gantt chart. This could have not been done. I mean, this is what it is. Now, you see ITBP is deployed at the Nalar Shiv Mandir where all this trouble happened. So it's not the government is not doing, government is doing, the action is happening. Now, if Hindus were writing, why were these shanties dismantled? If Hindus were writing, why were their houses dismantled? Why, if Hindus were writing, why would they carry their wife, daughter and a bacha with them? Obviously, that is not the case. Now you're seeing how these illegal immigrants have been causing havoc in Manipur, in Haryana, and there was a very, very stringent need, very, very urgent need for an NRC and NPR to be implemented across the length and breadth of the country. And these pockets should not be let develop where illegal activities like the Jamtara, online frauds, where all kinds of this drug money, where these terrorists hide. And that is why no cyber police station was attacked. They wanted to attack that to dismantle all the proof. Now you understand how it has happened, why it has happened, and government is in action. And as per the reports, few hundred people are arrested, few hundred people. We don't have the exact number, but it is in few hundred people are arrested. And अब जो सफाई होगी ना पूरे हरियाणा में होगी. The safai will not be limited to no only, no. All of Haryana will be cleaned out. Now you have crossed the Lakshman Rekha, फिर तो महाभारत होगा. When you cross the Lakshman Rekha, Mahabharata will happen. Papiyon ko saza di jayegi. And Khattar Sahib has clearly told nobody will be spared. Vijay has clearly told. And Haryana police has done a commendable job. Center forces are there. Now, RAF battalions have been put there. A lot of things are happening there. And all these mountains where they were firing and all, they've been also taken care of. Sri sir, something you want to say?
Sumitji, I'm sorry to keep interrupting you. My sources are telling me the number is not in hundreds, but perhaps in thousands that have been arrested, sir. Your thoughts?
Exactly. I didn't want to contemplate it. I said few hundred. That's why I didn't give a number. Now, if you talk of 1,000, it is 20.
Hundreds, 10,000.
America, 100,000. I didn't want to give a few hundred people. Without a number, can be thousands also. Right? 2,000 is 20 and 100.
It's a significant number. Please continue.
And sir, crackdown will happen across Haryana now. Kisi ko nahi chhodenge. Nobody will be spared. When you cross the Lakshman Rekha, you have to pay for it. It's a very simple thing, and it is a wake-up call for all the Hindus, because when you were attacked, your jati was not attacked. Jat, Yadav, Gujjar, Yadav, Brahman, Kshatri, Baniya, there was not an attack. Neither your state, UP wala, Haryana wala, Delhi wala. Who was attacked was a Hindu. Your religious identity was the motive and the logic behind the attack. This targeted attack, which included 5,000 people, 2,000 women and children. Don't forget this, 2,000 women and children. Already 6-7 people have given the sacrifice of their life. I narrated you how Ankit Saini was killed. And even if you see in this video, sir, he's showing that how the ambulances were burned. Who will burn the ambulance? Because you did not want the injured to be going to the hospital. You don't want them to reach the hospital. That is why you're burning ambulances. So this cannot go undetected
Unquestioned.
and
Yeah.
unquestioned.
So the reaction has to be swift and severe. Yes.
हिसाब होगा सर, हिसाब होगा. और आपने लक्ष्मण रेखा लांग दी, हिसाब तो होगा. Now you have to pay for your sins. And this bulldozer, I'm very happy with.
Somebody is pointing out that Lakshman Rekha is in Ramayana. So listen, whenever we say Mahabharata, that means we are talking about the war portion of Mahabharata. Ramayana also had a war, but Mahabharata involved almost all the kingdoms. Here, there was only Ram versus Ravan. Here, Mahabharata was every kingdom had to choose sides. This side or that side. The only one I know of was one king who said, I will cook for both sides. I don't want to wage a war. My army will take care of your food needs. So
food needs, right?
So please continue. So we have a reason why we are using Lakshman Rekha and Mahabharata. Okay, I hope I explained that. Go ahead, sir.
Absolutely, sir. Lakshman Rekha is when there is a limit which you must not cross. Mahabharata is an all-out war. All-out war is what Sri Sir rightly explained is Mahabharata. Everybody has to take sides. By the way, everybody has to take sides. And bulldozers are those chariots which used to go, in Mahabharata. So bulldozers in action really means the government is cracking and hitting them hard. It's a matter of days. And sir, this cleanup will go. If anybody thinks he can hide on a mountain or on this hillock or behind the jadi or jharne ke piche, those days are gone. Our forces are reaching there. And I always told you, I trust the capability of Haryana police. Haryana police can deliver. You have to just give them a green light. They will deliver. They are fully capable of delivering. And they are delivering. Now these people, बहुत से लोग का software भी update हो गया है. We can't show these videos, but बहुत से लोग का software update हो गया. There were a lot of people who were threatening a lot of people. Now today they are talking भाईचारा कर लो. So software update हो गया काफी लोग का. You know what is the software upgrade? Your all patches are removed. Your all faulty patches get removed.
See, there were two things that happened in the 80s and 90s, that one decade, where you show the right way to handle something and the wrong way to handle something. The wrong way was the Golden Temple action. The right way was what happened in Hazrat Bal. In Hazrat Bal, the terrorists are holed up inside this mosque where the hair of Prophet is supposed to be there. And they were thinking that they can do something similar to what happened in Golden Temple. Now here, the Prime Minister was P.V. Narasimha Rao ji. You know what he did? He cut off water, he cut off electricity, he cut off every amenity that goes into the plane. And he said he got every newspaper, news agency known to mankind outside. UN had a big tent. Everybody come watch what is happening. Nobody is going to be going inside. Nobody is going to be coming outside. So all he said is, okay, you want water, you come out. We have portable bathrooms. You can shower here. You want food, you come out. You eat food, your food. You can't take food back inside. So what happened was everybody, to get their own food, to do their own ablutions, they had to come out. In 7 days, Khissa Khatam, everything happened normal. So the same thing here, if somebody is sitting in hills, you just ring fence them and wait for them to come down. How long can you sit in the hills? You don't even have to go and fire them. Why do you want to go and fire up? Just sit down, ring them, and then make sure nothing goes in, nothing comes out.
And our bulldozers can climb the hills. They are good.
Oh, well, once you have them ring fence, you can do whatever you want, Sumit ji. The point here is, okay, always play on your game. If you are strong in kabaddi, you play kabaddi, not cricket. Go ahead.
And, there was one house where the jihadis were pelting stones. It was a pakka makan, and even 5 pakka makans, to my best of the knowledge, are also down. It's not only those shanties and all. Those 5 makans where they were used as addas of stone pelting, the places of stone pelting, they also brought down. So the justice is swift and fast. And it has just begun, sir. It does not end. It has just begun. Software updation is in progress. And all these modules and all this. And now this menace of Jamtara of Haryana is completely gone. And these people, and these HR-74 trucks, I don't know how long can they keep on getting business and how long people will give them business, because, they have not a good repute now. To be in business, you need to have a good repute, right? if you have a repute of sheltering anti-nationals in your homes and in your villages, so business becomes very tough. I mean, with patriots, it becomes very tough.
Yes, indeed.
Ji.
Let's take some questions now, please.
Sure.
Rahul Rathod wants to know, thank you for your wonderful gesture in yesterday's program, sir. Actually, yesterday I was facing some net issues and my thank you message didn't appear to have live streaming. Sorry for that, sir. No problem. We are going to play it again in case many of you don't know what exactly it is that we did for Rahul Rathod. This is just a very short, this is another. There is one error in this video which we will correct shortly. It is Jagrata. It is a gru, not gra. It's u matra, not a matra. So we will fix that. Somebody pointed it out. Thank you so much for doing that. The thing is, youngsters, you want to come listen to us because what you learn from here will make you face your life with a much better footing. We are giving you the experience that we have had in our lives, and we are hoping that some of that will rub off on you. That's all is the intent here. Thanks, Rahul. And let's go on to the next question. Magnet Ranga wants to know, Namaskar ji, on one hand, India's image internationally is growing, and on the other hand, the toolkit too is getting intense. Will the toolkit cease post-2024 elections and Modi victory?
Yes, sir, Namaskar. And Ranga sir had also written a mail to me, and thank you for your kind words. So, Ranga sir, you see, the toolkit is a business proposition. In a way, you put money and you expect return. Now, for last 9 years, the toolkit has not been able to deliver. That is why you're seeing the kingpins or the ringleaders, kings and queens have to come out. The pyadas or the pawns are no longer working. So after 24, there will be the highest level of, 70% of the toolkit's power and stature will dismantle. Only the people who are associated with the deep state, the biggest cabals of the world, they will only be, there. And after another 5 years, they will then give up and they will forget that, because by that time you will have crossed 8 trillion. The moment you cross 8 trillion, there is no looking back. That is why I'm telling you, 8 trillion benchmark is 5 is a QR, qualifying requirement. 8 is where you are then skiing down the slope. By that time, you will cross 8 trillion, and then these cabals and all, they will become useless and, relentless. Then good for nothing then after that. See.
Next one, please. Anshuman Singh wants to know, sir, what is your take on top 3 reforms we can expect after 2024 elections, UCC excluded? He's assuming that that's already in play. Go ahead.
I would say what we need is what is on the top of my mind? We need a civil services reform. We need a police reforms, and we need something like a Patriot Act, which is very, very much required. These 3 things are what we need. And, UCC is already there, so you are not even talking. These 3 we already need. So these are 3 on top of my mind.
Next question, please. TPN wants to know, BlackRock, etc., EG, etc., foreign investors buying Indian equity, aiming to influence Indian strategies and policies by owning stake in the market leaders. How will India counter this? Money talks.
It is that if Indian economy is, stagnant, then there is something to worry. When your economy is growing, these people will come to you. So what I'm interested in, they should leave China and come to us. But you see, the mistake, what we are not going to do, what Americans did, what Chinese did, and what Japanese did, we are not doing that. They all try to get loin share for themselves. What we are doing, we are talking of Vasudevam Kutumbakam, we are talking of Global South, we are talking of humanity. That is what Sanatan Dharma teaches us. The teachings of Sanatan Dharma and taking all together, that will be our saving grace. Today, if we are producing something, But keeping for ourselves, we are also fielding the whole world, so that our success becomes the world's success. Our growth becomes the world's growth. Our achievements becomes the world achievements. That is the difference in approach.
Next question, please. Rahul Rathod, finally government is realizing disappointment of their core supporters and first time they took hard steps against rioters and are heavily pushing back their nonsense narrative in Yogi style. Your view, sir?
We don't have a Patriot Act. So at times, the compulsions of the situation and the geopolitics and all want you to wait for an opportunity to do what you have to do. You have to wait for somebody to kind of mess up. When somebody messes up, the Pandora's box opens. I mean, then there's an opportunity. It's like somebody has to do something, and then you can come and go and do it. So now, as I told you, no will not be cleared. Mewat will not be clear. Whole Haryana will be cleaned out.
Stone wants to know, will NATO have to attack Niger because they had a planned gas pipeline running from Nigeria through Niger along Algeria to Europe? This won't work for them and they need the gas desperately.
Tango of 4, which I explained to you. Do you think NATO is in a position to attack? Because after the Russian-Ukraine war, there are divisions within the NATO, and the people in European countries are saying that their country should exit NATO. NATO is not a phenomenon what it used to be before Russian-Ukraine war. And the implications of this war, can Europe handle a war right now? NATO will fight, but can Europe help handle a war? And what has happened? 3 of the American top buddies, top colonies, I would say, just for the sake of argument, they're Japanese, Koreans, and there's one more, I can't remember the name. Japanese, Koreans, and who else? There's one more country, somehow not getting in my head. They are saying now we will prepare for our own defenses. We cannot depend on Americans. We will increase our defense budget.
Taiwan.
We will raise our armies. So aren't you seeing how tectonically the things have changed? They are no longer backing of NATO. They are trying to be Atmanirbhar in that, which is a welcome step.
सुमित जी, एक छोटा सा रिक्वेस्ट है आपसे. Somehow your voice is lagging your video. Do you mind logging out and logging back in? We will just hold the fort here. Just quickly log out and log back in. And I just want to share some statistics with our viewers. How much likes I have for this video. I'm still around only 300. That means only 1 in 3 have liked your video. In fact, the number of views is probably closer to 5,000. If you guys like the video, as soon as you join in, our like should be around 5K now. And we would have gone seriously viral. And please understand, whatever we are talking here, this is analysis and after the fact. We are not trying to set the narrative. We are trying to understand the narrative, analyze it, and see how these things are dotted, how to connect these dots. So let's, please like this video. Even now, it is not too late. We are 59 minutes into it. We'll probably be taking a few more minutes because Sumit ji is trying to rejoin. I seeing a video audio lag, and we will continue and try and finish a few more questions. Sumit ji is here. Let's go with the next question, please. Godank XP wants to know. Question to both. Don't we need to become a superpower first before we become Vishwaguru? Why does the government not let this Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam mentality and apply Chanakya thinking first?
My take on it would be they can both handle simultaneously. If you have to become a superpower, which are in making, you must be a nuclear triad. I will be very direct on this, which we are. Your economy must be around 10 trillion or more, which is work in progress. You must be independent on arms. You must have arms which you can export, and you must have at least 20 to 50 industries for which world will depend on this. This is all happening in. But what is the end objective? Is to become a superpower and get lion's share for my people? What Americans, Japanese, and even the Chinese did the mistake, which even Europe did the mistake. Or take what I deserve. Maybe I deserve 40% of what I earn, and 60% I help others to come up. That is how you make success sustainable and palatable. That's my take on it.
Next question, please. Let's go to quickly, about 4 or 5 questions left.
Sure.
PR wants to know. PR wants to know, what is the solution of enemy from within country? Hindus are not united and organized, always rely on others. If Haryana style happened in our country, then what will happen outside?
The wake up call, I've been always saying and maintaining this is a wake up call. Hindus need to get united. Hindus need to think logically. Regionalism, casteism, this language, these demographic divides are only weakening us. The day we talk of Hindu, Hindustan, and Om, three identities, problem is solved. I'm trying to sell this formula. Rather, I'm using the word intensely sell this formula to all of you. You buy this formula, and all troubles are gone.
Next question, please. Anand Shivkumar wants to know, hoarding food to hike price and creating civil unrest by rioting before elections is typical Congress playbook 101. How has BJP prepared to counter this?
So there's also geopolitics in it. It's not only politics, there's also geopolitics in it. There are a lot of people and a lot of forces. Look, Mr. 𝙒𝙧𝙤𝙪 was talking about, we will help India in Manipur. I don't know what is his business in Manipur and how is the American ambassador going to help you in Manipur? How can he help you in Manipur? These are the things which are really troubling and which are really kind of, which leave us in a bad taste in mouth. So don't these things in isolation. Haryana and Manipur are not only political issues, they are geopolitical issues, and there is geopolitical influence and forces at work vis-a-vis this. So let's be clear on that part.
So sorry, I actually had wanted to have you while I was trying to communicate to find out how many more questions there were. My apologies, but we heard you fine. PR wants to know, why are we not catching Rohingyas and sending them in BJP-ruled states? Action is needed.
We have got hold of 8,000 people. Haryana work is in progress. Assam work is in progress. MP work is in progress. So let this 2024 elections happen. We also need to have a strong legal framework vis-a-vis it. Now, there are people who have gone to the Supreme Court and said that Article 370 was a permanent provision of the Constitution. You can imagine somebody going and doing that in the Honorable Supreme Court of India. So do you think these Rohingyas work in isolation? They have no... What about this 2.5 enemy? Where is this 2.5 enemy? One right, one here, one here. 0.5 to yahan hai na. So you have to also handle and manage them. So it will happen. It's work in progress, but we have to be a bit more patient before we really see the big time results.
Many of these things can be traced back to what I have behind me, who painted my money white, because the calculation is that 4 lakh crores fake currency got into the system, and this is during the time 2000 to 2014, or even up to 2016, because that's when demo was done. That that has a multiplier of 10x. So 40 lakh crore money was circulating around the system. So money is no object. Somebody is actually financing these people to come and settle in a specific constituency, in a specific block, in a specific ward, because they want to be able to change the result in their favor. It's not so easy, guys. It's not at all easy. You touch them, they already got their highly paid Supreme Court lawyers who are willing to lie through their teeth, like calling 370 as a permanent thing. These are all people who are members of the Congress party, at least many of them are. So you have a huge ecosystem which has gotten fat off of that 4 lakh crores. It's not simple. And that's why I keep hammering. Bring the 500 also, take the 500 also out, lower it to 200. Make it very difficult to carry money. You should be able to do only money online transactions. Next question, please. Pawan Kishore wants to know. Thank you, Pawan. Namaskar, sir. Hearing from my friends in Madhya Pradesh that Congress may win the state elections, do you think BJP can recover and end up winning on a winning note?
He has a very well-oiled election machinery, and they somehow know how to win elections, if you see Gujarat and all. But at times there are inner conflicts and there are these freebies and all which have to be managed. Congress will not be able to win on administration and issues. Freebies and some tamasha might be created which has to be countered. And I think BJP has learned its lessons from Karnataka. So MP should not be so difficult after knowing what happened in Karnataka.
Thank you so much, GDM Techniques, and your offer is much appreciated. Thank you so much, Vignesh Prabhu. Bengaluru ke banni, beti agona. Beti means interview, and I think Vignesh ji, I think beti means interview. Bangalore ke bani means please come to Bangalore. We'll have an interview or conversation. I think that's what he's meaning. We will definitely do that, Vignesh ji. Look out for our announcements. Thank you so much. Sumit ji, this was a wonderful session. We looked at the 360-degree angle of what perhaps some people are working 24/7 in maybe Washington DC, some of those think tanks, probably in UK, in Russia, in India, in China, Beijing, and so on and so forth. And we can bring that kind of a vision to all of our viewers who probably benefited from understanding the undercurrents, the deeper undercurrents, and the very, very deep undercurrents that is taking place here. Over to you, Sirji, before we wind up.
This is my initiative of the live sessions. These are online in nature. You can write to me at sumitpropshell@gmail.com. There's an email address here. Your queries regarding if you want make help or advice on business or some other things, personal matters, there are a lot of things I cover. I'm getting a lot of mails. I'm responding to a lot of people, and I'll try my best to help you out in whatever way I can. So it will be online and private and confidential. You can be anywhere in the world. That is a limited take on that. Namaskar.
Namaskar, Jai Hind, and also please like, share, and subscribe to our channels. Don't forget to click on the bell button for notifications. Thank you so much.
Namaskar, Jai Hind, Vande Mataram.